Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Then Everything After podcast with your boy Amax, Simon McKenzie, and I'm going to throw the mic over to the fantastic Sasha.
Hey guys, Sasha Chantel here. I am a life coach, career coach, and I am an occasional blogger on sashachantel.com. And over to my lovely Fabs.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Franklin Watson, aka Mr. Fabs Network, aka the King of Trainers. And yeah, I do a few things.
Yeah, we're going to jump straight into this.
Feel like I've got a trainer coming out, and people would, my trainer, I don't know, it's not going to be more than £100, but people will ask me for a free pair rather than saying, Frank, you know what? I know you got this coming out. I know you have to sell so many pairs. I have a collection of Gucci, Balenciaga trainers that I've paid £1,000 for. For you, my friend, I'm going to pay 150 quid. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
That's the value we put on some of these brands. Because I would say, look, I've got this trainer, I need to sell it, but they'll go out and be like, no, I'm buying a Gucci.
Yep.
So it's just one of those situations where we need to kind of value ourselves more than we value these brands.
It's a funny thing you say that. It's like, and I'm sure you know what this, both of you, I'm sure you know what it looks like, where you've gone from, like Sasha, with obviously magazines that you worked on, the many things that you've done, you've built something from nothing where it was probably virtually impossible to get people involved because they couldn't see where it was going, they couldn't see the vision, they couldn't see the brand that they wanted to be associated with. Yeah. And for yourself, Fabs, again, it's like you at the early stage where you didn't have the following and getting people to support the movements you were doing, probably much different now than it was back then, because people want to be associated with big numbers, big things, big brand. And it's hard to shake that because it's almost like it's a conditioning. Like it goes back to music. It goes back to childhood. It goes back to, I don't know, like I grew up on an estate. Yeah, you might see 1 in 1,000 people show up in like a very expensive Merc.
Yeah,
no one asks how the person acquired the Merc; they just want the Merc. Now they want to be near the person who has the Merc, whether they wanted to know the person or not.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, they don't want to know the person who has the Skoda, but that person's stacking secretly.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah, because that's not interesting.
No,
until you show them your bank balance. Now they want to know you. It's always like to do with how people qualify your equity.
Yeah.
It's
versus where they see themselves.
It's more of a case of, it's that saying that I always hear, and I've heard it like my whole life, and it's perception is reality. It's how things are perceived. Like if someone looked like they got loads of money because they look that way, you don't ask many questions how they got it. You just want to be rich like them because they look like they got loads of money. But then you dig deeper and actually they don't have money. They have a car on HP. They're in debt on credit cards. But it's not your job to look that deep into their life. You just see the surface and what they have on the outside. And it's like young people now, how can things get better? Because it's so much like that now. Like social media makes you want to have all these things. I'd hate to be a kid in school right now because like when I was at school, I think Motorola's were the phone that was coming in.
Yeah.
And literally like Ericssons and stuff. Now, if you ain't got the latest Huawei, if you ain't got the latest iPhone, if you ain't got all them things, you're deemed as a tramp. You're deemed as like, not trendy and no one wants to be your friend. It's just horrible. It's all on face value.
It's funny you say that. I was on the bus before all of this on my way to Stockwell. I was going through Clapham. And this was the time where kids were going to school. And one of the kids must have seen another kid's phone. He's like, "Oh, your phone's so clapped, man. No.
That's what I mean.
I can't move with you, man. I can't move with you, fam. You're done out here." It was like, I was like,
wow.
This is horrible.
I didn't experience that.
That's what I'm saying. It's a horrible level now.
And I know that I didn't have the best phone. In fact, the way that I got around having the best phone was I started ordering parts from eBay and building my own stuff. Yeah, that was me being interested in it. I started being interested in how it was built because I couldn't afford the actual Nokia phone or the face-offs or the flipping. I remember there was one point where it was like a small silver Nokia phone called the 8850.
Yes,
which had a blue screen. It was like
I had
that phone. That was like.
I had that up there.
Yeah, but it's like all these things that people are trained to value.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the conversation, like you say on social media, like I'm seeing like Fredo arguing with C-Biz about whether his jewelry's real or fake. You know, I've got a bust down, yours is a rental. In fact, yours is not even a rental, it's fake. Okay, we're going to check the clarity. Okay, we're going to check out your jeweler. Okay, I found out that your jeweler's fake, selling fake jewelry. All your stuff's fake. Your watch.
Really?
I'm like...
Priorities all over the place, I'm like, honestly.
But you got to think, though, I don't listen to Fredo's music. And it's not because I don't like Fredo, I just don't listen to his music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've not taken the time to get to know what his music is like. I just don't listen to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like C-Biz, I don't listen to C-Biz's music.
Mm-hmm.
But yet here we are talking about it because amongst all the things I'm looking for things of interest,
that pops up in there.
And it kept appearing. So now I'm like, okay, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm getting that, then what impact does that have on the people that are interested?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people that are interested in that. Now, what lengths are they going to get the bus down, to get the chain? You know, what madness are they going to do for something of so little value in the long run?
Yeah,
that they're valuing so highly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like a question I've always asked people is like, how they value things, why they value the things that they value.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know why they value the things they value. They just do because they got told they did.
Yeah, it's advertising brainwashing. I think it's advertising brainwashing because
100%.
You know, especially with this whole iced out watches and bust down. I mean, one of my clients is one of the biggest watch dealers in the world, and he always tells me, he says, if it's not factory, if you get a watch and you ice it down or bust it down, as people say, and it's not from the factory, it's worthless. You know, because the factory, it's worthless. Expensive watches come like cars; they have paperwork. You know, and if the factory didn't do it, you've actually voided the warranty of the
that makes
watch.
sense.
You know,
that makes a lot of sense.
Despite how much diamonds you put in it and stuff, it's worthless unless it's authorized by the actual Rolex. Rolex hardly make bust down watches. They make iced out watches, but there's a difference, you know. But they hardly make bust down, whereas, you know, those ones are specially made by Rolex in the factory, you know. So you have to kind of really picture that in mind, you know, when you buy a watch. I mean, right now I can get bust down watches for a lot cheaper than they actually sold for.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
You get what I mean? And like an investment. So there's different levels to this, and I think sometimes it comes with education, you know, and really kind of telling people the truth. Like, you know, a lot of these guys, don't get me wrong, I mean, they've worked hard, they've made their money. However they made their money, they can do whatever they want with it. But I think sometimes it's good to just give the right information, so that the young people can then say, okay, this is the thing. However, information is not attractive.
No,
you know what I mean, speaking in a certain way is not, you know. But I always say to people that there is a time where you get. That's why the way Jay-Z raps now is different to how he raps. Back in the day, there's a level time you get to a level, you're like, I don't even need to be talking about all of this. I need to really get, you know, and you can still have that same fan base. It's how you articulate yourself and
definitely.
He's remodeled, man, and you got to respect that, because there are some rappers who, out of fear, don't remodel.
No.
Yeah, they tell stories that aren't actually factual, but it has the impact of making it a fact in somebody else's life, and you know where that takes them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they're seeing something which isn't the case. Yeah, you don't there's levels. It's like there's certain people who, I'll never name names, but there's certain people who I've known growing up in the same area, etc., etc. I'm sure you know some of them as well yourself, Sasha, as well. Like they got families, they've moved out of the area that they grew up in.
Yeah.
They ain't rolling with gangs or any of those members that they're with. If they do, it's for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That person gets their little pay for being visually there, and they go about their business. Yeah. Because that person who is the main breadwinner of whatever their brand is musically has now have people on payroll to maintain their image.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
Yeah. Especially if they've got a bit of a shaky past.
Yeah.
They have to have those people on payroll so they never do time.
That's true.
Yeah. So after all expenses, they're not as wealthy as people think they are.
No.
Yeah. They're not living the life that people think they're living, you know. And if they do get nice things, it's often in the form of gifts.
No, it's true.
It's not something that they actually had to go out and get the money and go, right, I'm going to pay 10K for this or 5K for that. Because if it was the case, they wouldn't have it, most likely. Yeah,
I must say, though, I was pretty ignorant about that in terms of, like, people getting paid with items and, like, jewelry and stuff and not getting paid with money. It's only when I started, like, looking into, like, Tupac and NWA and looking at how they just, like, just give them chains and say, that's your payment. Be happy with that.
That's deep.
And you realise it still actually happens to this day and people are still getting paid with items and houses and whatever and not actual physical money. They can actually use and invest. They actually have no money at all, and that's actually quite scary as well, because it's like people are aspiring to be those people, thinking they have loads of money, but they don't, and then they're following their lifestyle and so forth. But then they get there, and they realize that it's not what it is cut out to be.
It's definitely that. It's like it's the overhead aspect that people don't know about. Yeah, like obviously this whole thing we're doing is about what comes after everything. You know, once you turn the light, but once the lights are back on, what does it really look like and where do you go from there? You know, we've got people who think they're going to be a celebrity, they're going to get show bookings, they're going to get to a point where they're getting paid 100K plus on show bookings, etc., etc. What they don't understand is if you get to the point where you're doing a show where you can be paid 100K, you have to understand that there is an expense. You're in a bigger venue that you have to pay for. The bill's coming from you, most likely. Or you're splitting the bill, or you're splitting the revenue, or you're splitting something. You're paying for the lighting. You're paying for the electric, the heating.
Production team.
You're paying for the cleaners.
Everyone.
The DJs.
So true.
The lineup.
It's not for the faint-hearted, basically.
No.
Don't go into that industry right being prepared to understand there's a whole framework to it that not everyone will just get successful and get loads of money. It's strong-minded people can actually ride that wave, so to speak. Not everyone can handle it. That's why they come and crash and burn, because they can't deal with it.
And that's it. It comes down to the fact that, especially with hip-hop, like, and when I say hip-hop or grime, like, I'm thinking about it like UK-based. And I'm thinking, well, you got to think, when people ask the question like, okay, he's now in the spotlight, why is he still doing crime and why is he still doing X, Y, and Z? I'm like, read between the lines. If he's still doing crime, it means music is not paying.
Basically.
Yeah? It means it ain't paying. He hasn't figured out how to make it pay him. That is still paying him and keeping the wolves away from the door. That's probably paying for the studio time.
Yeah.
That's probably paying for that's paying for the stuff that people perceive him to have in the music video.
Yeah.
That's paying for the music video. That's paying the camera guy.
You know what, though? It's not always that. Do you know, like, even though this is like a fictional thing, if you watch The Wire, if any of you have watched The Wire, I don't know if you watched The Wire, but Wire was like obviously a really massive program. But literally, the main guy, all them seasons, he's just trying to get really rich and get really big and be the number one person. And then when he got there, he looked around in his big mansion and thought, I don't like this. I don't actually want it. And he went back to his stoop. He went back to his little spot on the pavement. Like, he wanted to go back to that part. He liked being that. So it's not always lack of money. The mentality hasn't come out of there.
Yeah,
they like that lifestyle and being there. They want the money, but they want to be there as well.
Yeah.
And the scary thing is that you can't always stay where you are for your own safety, for your own, you just can't remain there. But they're so pulled to being in that spot, they don't want to leave it. So it's a mixture of, it's not always down to the lack of money. Sometimes it's down to the mentality hasn't changed.
Okay, I agree.
They've got richer, but they haven't changed here. Yeah. So it's like they're battling the two different parts of themselves. That's how,
100%. 100% I have to agree with you on that. It's scary watching it. Like, especially as I've been someone who, I've seen lots of different types of artists on their journey at various different points.
Yeah.
From being in artist development myself, and being over like at Sony's, because obviously they've got their like main headquarters, or they've got a few different headquarters dotted around, and then they've got loads of subsidiaries. So the work that I did was with one of their subsidiaries, and when working in artist development, it's so cutthroat. Yeah. And I'm like, and at the same time, I was juggling that with studying performing arts.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people in performing arts pretty much wanted to go that route or some route similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like trying to explain this stuff to them. No, I'll be fine. You know? And it's funny because I'm seeing how it's played out now.
Yeah.
Because obviously time always tells.
Mm.
Yeah? Because it's the one thing you can't escape. Like, it ain't waiting for you. It's moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? I don't think there's barred maybe 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else made it to where they thought they were going to make it with music. And when I say they don't have a career in the space, point blank.
Mm-hmm.
Not producing, not writing for artists, not choreography, not even lighting, you know, not even like way back office, not even finance.
Mm.
Yeah, there's just nothing to do with the space.
Yeah.
Because you have to approach music business as a business entity.
That's right.
Yeah, either in mind or in practice.
Mm.
Yeah, but if you're not either of the two, I can understand why people see it and jump back to whatever it was that excited them prior.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be a good thing or a bad thing, because it takes a certain type of energy to get there. And I'm not saying you have to be a bad person to be in music, but you have to be, like you said, resilient. You have to be tough.
Yeah.
Skin's got to be thick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, you've got to think, an artist influences other artists to try and pursue their careers. An artist produces individuals in terms of how they dress and how they talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, people, I think sometimes that's actually been what has stopped artists from continuing, is when they've realized the impact they've been having and they've looked and seen it was negative.
Yeah.
Facts.
And
yeah, facts.
They couldn't think of a way to create content that was going to sell based on who they were and how they were perceived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sad, but it's like, it's because there's a whole industry channeling that energy for profit.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's profit in that badness. There's profit in saying you're doing more than you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's profit in kids trying to be you and buying from the shops relentlessly so they can be like you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they've got it or not, whether they're stealing it, however they're getting it. So it's mad. It's like, I'm looking at this music game, and I'm looking at social media, and it just throws a lot of questions.
Mm.
Like, because I was having a conversation with someone, they're like, where is it going? Like, when you're looking at music currently, where do you picture it as going? Like, in its current state?
Music's
like,
dead. I don't enjoy music at the moment, to be honest. I really don't. Like, this is someone who used to be an avid music lover and used to love music, like, religiously, and used to record radio shows and the rest of it. And now I just can't be asked. I can't be asked because all I hear is just a regurgitation of music. There's so much sampling going on as well. There's so much sampling from like 90s songs and stuff. It's like, why can't we get some more originality and create our own stance? Why are we having to go back to the 90s, 80s, 70s and keep resampling everyone's music and then trying to like put it out there as something fresh? It's not fresh. It's just regurgitation over and over again. And we've always sampled, but I feel like the last 10, 15 years, it's been an overdrive of sampling to the point of no originality at all. And I find it hard. There's certain artists like LMA and that I have time for, but I can count who I have time for on my hands. Like, it's not hard. I can just be like, yeah, and that's it. My mind's gone blank, not interested. 20 years ago, we had so many people. We had so much artists. You couldn't stop counting. And now it's just like you can actually pinpoint who's really good, and then the rest is just, sorry.
So then this begs a question. Is the music industry being cut out in the way that they've been cut out a negative thing then? Because back years ago, we were talking about the music industry doing dodgy like deals with people on a regular basis, and, you know, people still paying off their advances to this day. Yeah. And that was how, and the music industry is just creating Kellogg's cornflakes artists, where you know what you're getting. It's going to be the same amount of content in the package is going to be the same, or they might brand it slightly different and call it Honey Nut Cornflakes or Frosties. Yeah.
I like Frosties.
It's a derivative of the same product.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
No, I think the music industry is turned for the better. I think social media's helped that the artists get more power.
Control.
Because now you could be on Instagram, or SoundCloud, have a following of 100,000, put out your music, you get your streams, and you get your money directly to you.
Yeah.
So I think I actually love the music business as a business model now. To be honest, I do still like music. I still listen to a lot of new artists. I try to understand their journeys. There's a lot of artists that come in. It's a bit like this unfortunate artists like XX. He passed away. He
was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I
talented guy.
I wasn't really up on his music before he passed. However, I did hear snippets of it. But then when he passed, I really went to kind of figure things out. So a lot of the new artists, I try my best to keep my ear to the ground, listen to new artists, and see who's really going somewhere. And then I decide whether I'm going to listen to them further. But I definitely feel that the music industry, as a business, is way better. Way better, because you have loads more opportunity to control what
your output. 100%.
But then that being said, with the fact that is the case, do you think artists are making the most of what is now available to them?
Yeah,
the smart ones. Yeah, like Chance the Rapper. Every album's been a independent streaming album. So, I mean, when I saw his business model, I was like, damn. At first, I'm like, this guy's crazy. But then when you look at it, it's the accumulation of his streams, the infrastructure he's put in place, the fact that he can do shows, and there's so much stuff that goes with it that when an artist decides to just be independent, because if they have a right foundation, they can kill it. You don't need a label at all. You get what I mean? The label does help in terms of pushing it to radio and other territories. But if you get the right type of model, the label's going to come knocking for you.
Facts.
You get what I mean? So,
but then the question is, are we? Because obviously you've mentioned US artists. Are we doing that in the UK?
That's a good question.
Are we really doing that in the UK? Are we? Like,
not as well.
Are we taking the learnings of what's working and applying it here? Because I've heard people say before, you can't do that stuff because it doesn't apply because, we're not American and X, Y, Z. I'm like, I'm not talking about copying what they're doing musically. I'm talking about what they're doing from a business perspective.
Yeah.
I think from a business perspective, I think there are some artists that are doing it really amazing. They're still independent, quote unquote, in terms of their business structure.
Yeah.
I think they have distribution deals with major labels, but they're still actually independent artists. So I think the way they do things I think it all depends on your team. I know that.
That's right.
And Dave, and they've got teams.
Very good teams.
Yeah, teams of people. And
they shout out their teams too.
Yeah, it's hard to get a good team. Don't get me wrong, it's hard to get a good team. But if you have a good business, like a good kind of team behind you, then you can really navigate through. So the ones that are not doing it as well, I don't actually think it's their fault. It's because they probably haven't got access.
Yes, true.
I mean, like it takes a lot of different things to get access, and I want to be played on Grime Daily or Link Up TV and stuff. So you need access to kind of get there. And when you get the access, then you can kind of start to build a team. But it does go with your team,
Facts. I have to agree with that. It's funny because there's been like different artists I've interacted with. I've managed a few artists here and there. Like I still manage artists now. But I minimized how many artists I was managing because I realized you need to put really your all into one. You're trying to help them get somewhere. You don't want to oversaturate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you can't give to anyone what they need.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's information more than anything else that you need to give them. Yeah. And I remember there was like one artist, I learned a lot from him personally, and he was always talking about building a team. It's like, let's jump into that. In fact, like, how do you go about even building a team? How do you build a team? Like, how do you get the respect from somebody? Let's say like you don't have a big circle of people that are all trying to do stuff. Therefore, it's almost like a no-brainer to get behind you because what you're doing would help them and what they're doing will help you and vice versa, which I think is the Stormzy situation, is the Dave situation. They're coming from those backgrounds where there's circles. Within their circles, there are people trying to do certain things which correlate with what they're trying to do. So therefore, it's almost like it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other people who go at it alone because they don't have a circle. They've never really known a lot of people. And they go out and network.
Yeah.
And they go to different events and they speak to people, but that gift of the gab or that skill isn't there for them. It's not that they lack the talent, but they don't have the gift of the gab or the ability to articulate what they're doing to the point that someone could understand their vision and go, yes, you are the person that I need to be rocking with. This is what I'm trying to do. Let's have some meetings. Let me show you how to organize yourself. I can see you're not that organized, but here, your mind's right.
Yeah.
You just need to get everything together. Right, I can help you do that. You don't really see that much.
I don't feel that people behind Dave or Stormzy are seeing it as a win-win because it will help them. I honestly believe they believe in what they're doing.
Yeah.
I actually believe they like their music and would listen to it on a day. If they didn't know them, they still buy it and listen to it. And that's why their teams are so strong, because they're so behind them. It's like their music, they live for it. They're like, that's my vibe. And they actually believe it. And when you see them talking, it comes from here. They're proper evidence that Stormzy says. It's like, that's the word. It's 100% the words. Not because they're getting paid to say it, because they actually believe it to be true. And that's what people lack. They lack an authentic circle of people around them. They have yes people around them. People that say, that's great. And it's not great. It's rubbish. Yeah. And you need someone to tell you it's not good. You could be better. And the problem with these UK artists, they're not surrounded by people who want them to win. They're surrounded by people who want to ride the wave. And when the wave crashes, they're like, bye, next person. And that's what separates these different artists from people like Stormzy and Dave, because they're the way it's set up nicely. And they're surrounded by people who want them to do good. And that's just facts.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree with that. I think even on a personal level, the hardest thing I've faced and I'm facing is building a good team. Yeah, that's the most hardest task for me. And
why do you think that's so hard?
For me, it's because, and I've tried, but my work ethic is through the roof, as you know. And one thing, I've tried to bring people in the team and stuff. And I think sometimes people get used, they see the glory. So with the King of Trainers, they may see, okay, Franklin gets trainers every week. But before I got trainers every week, I sat in one place for 3 years. You get what I mean? One place. I sat down in my office, one place for 3 years in the same seat, doing the same thing for 3 years.
That's dedication.
Exactly.
So when people come into my environment, and I'm like, okay, sit down and just do this.
They don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it. It takes probably like a couple of days a week, and then they're like, oh, they're looking around, and and I think sometimes the discipline, when it comes to having discipline, and then that discipline combined with work ethic and stuff, for me, that creates a complete team.
Yeah.
And I believe I'm a fair boss. I believe that I'm a fair person. But one thing I don't scrimp and scrape is work ethic.
Yeah.
And you can't get your rewards too soon. The problem is some people, they see success and they think success is overnight. You get what I mean? They see success. Like all these people we've mentioned, Stormzy, Dave, all these people, they've been in the music industry 5 to 10 years.
Exactly.
Before they got
putting in the time, putting in the effort.
Even Michael Dapper, I know him. I remember when he was on Twitter and he would send DMs of, can I please post up his sketches and stuff like that? Do you get what I mean? And then he got his big break to, The Man's Not Hot. But he had been doing this for like 7 to 10 years prior.
Well, exactly.
You get what I mean?
It's true. Look at Mo the Comedian, though.
Yeah,
classic example.
From Kodak, like all of these guys. So sometimes when we're looking at this whole thing and we're saying, okay, I want to join their team, we need to really say, okay, what is their journey? And am I willing and able to aid them on that journey? Or can I, because that's why for me, I work in isolation. Even we're staying at home, we're in self-isolation now. I do this anyway. Do you get what I mean? I'm in my office by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do this anyway. I have probably 1 or 2 good people around me. And I would love to have more.
Yeah.
But people don't understand work ethics. You just got to stay in one place and work. You know, so when it comes to people like Stormzy and all these people, they have people who they consider family because they understand that their best interests at heart. For me, I see sometimes when people come around me, they want the success. They want the trainers. Oh, I'm going to get, you know, or I'm going to be, you know. And I'm like, no. Yep. If we're not working, what's the point? Like, there's no, I don't need anyone to come and take from me. I need people to.
No, you're right. But then that I've got a question then. Do you know, is it because obviously it's the test of time has always been people who work hard and put in effort and do like the long haul, and then those who just jump ship. It's always going to be that way. But do you feel that now, because of things like reality TV where things are instant and like Brazilian butt lifts where like it's quick results, and it's so accessible. Years ago, these things were hard to attain. You had to save lots of money and take out loads of loans. And now there's easier ways to do it. You can fly to Turkey and get things done cheaper. And it's always like everything's very cut and very quick. Is it because of that? Because so much things are instant and quicker than most things that people don't want to put hard work because they've seen other people take less time to get there. So they don't see why they should put time in to get the same outcome. Do you know what I mean?
The social media illusion, and that's just facts. I think, but even though, like, I mean, you know, people always say this thing: I want to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
But I always say that to get to the level to work smart, you have to work hard.
That's right.
You're never going to avoid hard work. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And despite what is shown on reality TV and all these types of things, when you actually research all these people on reality television,
they've all been doing.
Yeah. Look at Cardi B, for example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, she came on the scene. You know, she then became a rapper.
Yeah.
But before then, she was in reality television. She was grinding. She dropped a mixtape. She was a stripper. Do you get what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
She's been grinding every single step of the way. Then they see the reality television part. Then boom, she gets become. No, everything is a journey. You know, despite us believing things are done quickly, even with this whole Brazilian butt lift stuff, it's still a journey that they had to go through to get to that stage where they're like, I have to pay my money to So I think people, if you look really deeper, and I think sometimes that's why on my platform I try to do something called Financial Fridays, where I tell people about finance and saving money and stuff like that. When you look deeper at people's struggles and journeys, despite how quick it seems to be, it never that. It's never. Do you get what I mean? There is one or two people that they're instant, oh my God, I'm coming in, and they make a massive impact. But when you actually look at, I would say 90% of everyone who's in that type of successful realm, they've been through a lot to get there.
Yeah.
That's the icing on the cake of where they're going.